So we already started for a couple of minutes. If you are watching this recording, then you might be one of the persons that actually wanted to join the sprint review but couldn't find the Zoom link. That's totally up to Chris and me. We messed up the Zoom links somehow. Some of you made it. That's the person that you see right now, and maybe you didn't, but at least you've got this recording. I'm going to share my screen again. I think that's easiest. Chris, product goal and some of the goals for the sprints that we focus. Do you want to explain some of this?
Yeah, I'll do that. Otherwise, the remainder of the sprint review is really interactive, by the way. We always want to start by elaborating the road until here. Barry, can you maybe maximize your presentation so that
I can.
Otherwise, the text is maybe a bit small.
Oof.
Cool. Yeah, so we've been working on the Scrum Team survey for almost 2 years now, and every sprint we've been delivering new features. And I think what we have is pretty cool, but it's still growing and evolving in response to the feedback that we're getting from you, from the users, and from our customers. There are a couple of things we worked on in the recent sprints. I'm just going to focus on the ones that are in April, not the ones in March. Because one of the things that we focused on in April was to make it possible for non-software Scrum teams to also participate in the Scrum Team survey. As the name suggests, the Scrum Team survey is about Scrum teams. That's how we started. And we started with software teams because most teams are software teams still. But there were a lot of Scrum teams out there that did not develop software products, but still wanted to use the Scrum Team survey. But some of the language in some of the questions was very much about software development. So we actually now have 2 versions of the questionnaire that we use in the Scrum Team survey, one for software Scrum teams and one for non-software Scrum teams. The feedback we've gotten so far from teams is really good. If you're going to give it a try with your team, or if you have any feedback on it, we'd love to hear about that later in the sprint review, of course. We've also, the sprint after that, added a 3rd version of the questionnaire, so 3 now, one for agile teams in more general terms. So, of course, a lot of teams out there are not specific Scrum teams. They use an agile methodology of their own devising, or they use something else, like Kanban or DevOps or extreme programming. And we also wanted to offer support for that with the Scrum Team survey. We're also aware that the name of our product is not really super fitting anymore because we need to change it, but that's going to happen after the summer, I think. But at least for now, it's possible as an agile team to also use the Scrum Team survey without getting a lot of questions about Scrum specifically in the questionnaire. So if you give that questionnaire a try, you won't find anything like sprint review or sprint goal. We use different language for that. And again, we've also gotten good feedback on this, but we're eager to hear yours as well. We've also rewritten all the feedback in recent sprints to work both for Scrum teams and for more general agile teams. And one of the biggest things, and that's also the focus for this sprint review, has been work on finding more involving and motivating ways to help Scrum teams and agile teams improve with the Scrum Team survey. Barry and I have been members of Scrum teams for a long time. We know how hard it can be to motivate ourselves and also people in the team to keep trying even when it's very difficult. So a common request from users has been, can you find ways to make it more interesting for teams to learn and to celebrate their small successes? The good thing is we measure a lot of things that are happening in Scrum teams, so we're also in a good position to show you where things are getting better. And that's something we would like to focus on in this sprint review and get your feedback on this and your thoughts. Is there anything, Barry, that you want to add to what we've done in recent sprints?
No, nothing comes to mind. No, I think it was quite complete. I think this is also a good moment to maybe invite everyone to have a look for themselves to what the new features are that we've included. Can you explain this one, Chris?
Yeah, sure. So there's a link in the Google presentation. I'll also share it in the chat for convenience. My only question to you would be to just take 4 minutes and maybe turn off your webcam and your microphone and just click around a little bit in what you see. And maybe you've already seen the Scrum Team survey before and then it's easy. Maybe you haven't, that's okay too. And in particular, try to focus on the way we motivate teams to keep on improving. What do you see? What do you notice? Make some notes if you like, but just take 4 minutes to give yourself a tour, and then we'll take a moment to gather and collect feedback. Go ahead, I'll do the same.
I'll stop sharing for a moment and pause the recording. Thank you for joining. So I've started the recording again. And well, for Peter and Alessandros, also for you, I hope there's enough time to have to get an impression about the badges that we've included in the Scrum Team survey. So in a moment, what we're going to do is, and actually I'm going to share my screen again for a moment. View slideshow. I'm gonna put you in a breakout room, and then within your breakout room, you have the chance to discuss the following question or questions with each other. So based on, for one hand, I would say just share the things that you've noticed while studying the badges that we've included in the survey, and then also additionally have a conversation about the following. What are your thoughts about the ways we motivate teams to improve continuously, and what would make it more motivating? So what are your thoughts about the ways we motivate teams to improve continuously, and what would make it more motivating? Now, first we would like to give you some time to get your own thoughts started about these questions. So maybe just take some time to make some notes about the things that you already noticed about the Scrum Team survey and how the badges were included. And additionally, take maybe 1 minute to also think about these two questions. That gives me time to set up the breakout rooms. We're going to do 2 breakout rooms. Chris is going to join one and I'm going to join the other one. And shall we do 8 minutes, Chris, in a breakout room? You're muted, but I see some information. Yeah. So I'm going to do 8 minutes. And then in a moment, you can add your findings in or slide 7 or slide 8. I'm actually.
Could you please try? Could you please share the link to the presentation again? Because
yeah.
I didn't get it. I didn't get it. Please. Oh, thanks.
Yeah, I think Chris done it.
Okay.
So room 1 is going to be Alessandros and myself. I'm not sure if Alessandros is still here, but we'll see. And then room 2 is going to be Michael. Ah, excellent. And then room 2 is going to be Michael, Peter, and Christian. So 8 minutes. I'm going to open the breakout rooms right now. So see you back in 8 minutes.
Thanks.
Okay, I think the other ones will be here in a moment as well.
Yeah. So are the team badges like, as I said, for have a bigger context or no?
Maybe we can discuss it as a group together. So welcome back, everyone.
Cool. Thanks.
For us, 8 minutes was way too short because we only discussed the feedback from the survey inspection before. So we did not discuss the questions at all. I'm not sure what was it like for you, Chris, in your room?
We had a lot of discussions. I'm typing in the insights because we forgot to write anything down. We were talking so much, like I'm doing that.
Oh, no, that's a good sign. That's a good sign. So maybe just per room, just share some of the key things that we discussed. Alexandros, if you like, would you maybe just like to share the idea that you raised with the others?
Yeah. You mean the physical part?
Yeah.
So what I suggested is that it's nice that we have it like in a virtual context, but sometimes where we are doing, let's say, retrospectives physically in one room, and it would be nice to have something tangible. So there could be like stickers, or there could be posters, or maybe something that I actually thought of right now is to have a big poster that have empty slots for this kind of stickers, the badges. And when there is like, when we get a badge, we can print it out and have this sticker and put it on that big poster, let's say. So we'll have it always hanging somewhere on the wall in that room. So that would be nice.
Yeah.
And if it would be like for more like person specific, like for a specific team member, maybe it could be something like a badge that you can maybe even sew it on your clothes or something like that. So I think you can make very creative things.
Yeah,
with
but
this,
I like the idea to
badges.
make it more tangible and visible as well, so that the team can really see, hey, these are the badges that we've earned, and these are the ones that we still need to improve on.
I feel an order of buttons coming up.
Oh, yeah.
There are these stickers that if you click it, you go to the web shop and then you can print them or buy them, something like that. That's I like it. It's a very good idea.
And also a big poster that has everything inside, has empty slots, so you can put the stickers on it.
I like the idea to make it very tangible, like because that's what you're ultimately saying, right? It should be very visible to people what improvements they're making, and then that's really nice about this idea. That's great.
And also do something like that also for virtual teams, like because it's okay to have it here, let's say, but maybe there is always a Slack room or maybe a Miro board that we use it all the time. So we can have it as icons over there. Like maybe you can create a Miro board, a template that has these empty slots, and then you can put on them these badges, and you can always look at it on every retro or something.
Yeah, I like it.
That's really good.
I'm wondering what happens when we are together as a team for an extended period of time, and we scored some badges, and something to the team happens. Maybe some other people join, other people leave. Is there some way to reset them? Can we lose a badge?
That's a really good question. What would you prefer?
Resetting is probably too much, but if a score on one of the or more of the key factors goes down, I probably would like to lose those badges also, or at least may enable to eliminate those badges so I can win them again and also have the enthusiasm that comes with it.
Of course, and your team changes, so things will be different for a while. the way it works right now is that especially you can score two different kinds of badges broadly. The first ones are the sort of the progress badges, which is you have one team member that's participating, or 3 or 5 or 8, etc. But you also have these streaks where if you are able as a team to increase your score every time you measure it, every time you create a new snapshot, you would basically get a longer streak. And once the score goes down, the streak breaks and you lose that badge. So that would actually mean if your team changes and you score lower on certain factors, you will lose those streak badges.
Okay.
But the progress badges, you will, for example, one could be you have created 50 improvement actions as a team and completed them. You will retain that badge, for example. But this is a good question. I haven't actually considered what to do, whether or not to remove it. Let me know what your experience is, Peter, with it when you use it. If you think it makes sense to lose something with your team at some point, then I can always change that, of course.
Our next survey is planned for September, so it's going to take a while, but I'll keep it in mind.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, your feedback is super helpful.
And maybe now that Peter is talking anyhow, maybe we can move to the room that Peter was part of, but also Michael. So maybe Michael or Peter, do you have anything else that you discussed in your room? You don't have to repeat everything, but maybe one thing that stood out in your conversation.
We discussed about how to differentiate the tool and from the professional tools, from the all-day tools we use. So it's a kind of focusing effect. Something new, so you get more focus on that. Maybe it can be a little bit, in German we say esoteric, which means not from this world. But I think this is also a learning effect for the team to cope with new things. Who's not a part of the culture? And one idea is a physical variant, part. You can use your survey also on the mobile when you come together in the location and discuss it face to face, but answer the question on the mobile and make the result visible on a kind of WebEx board. We have also WebEx boards, because we tackle with hybrid meetings. And so maybe we can answer the survey on the mobile phone and make and not real time, but when you're finishing, or when everyone's finishing a part, the result visible on a website or on a WebEx board, maybe.
That's a great idea. Yeah, and I can imagine a lot of people are in those environments where you have this hybrid combination of people in the room, people outside. Yes. It's technically what you describe now is not possible yet, but what you can do, of course, is you could on your mobile phone go through the questionnaire with 10 people, for example. And there's only someone who has to refresh the team report every time someone completes it. So that would still be a manual action. But we can definitely make that real time and based on push messages. So it's a good idea. Like it. Adding that one to the product backlog, Barry.
Yeah. Anything else from the things that you discussed? Or any new ideas about badges and how to?
Well, I think a theme in our room was also that it's nice, the badges, but it's not like the most important thing. Teams will like it and they may get some motivation from it, but it's not like going to make the difference. I think that's also a theme that we discussed. I hope I'm summarizing that correctly, Peter and Michael, but that was my take.
Yes.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's totally fine, of course. So we've got some things left. We've got time-wise 15 minutes left, and I'm just gonna share my screen again and make this a slideshow. Oof. So the road ahead would be the next step. Chris, shall we already move to this part, or do you have something else on mind first?
Yeah, can you give me sharing permissions, because I'm unable to share my screen.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I can actually do it. No, I'll just share my screen, because what I wanted to, there's one part I couldn't easily show, or at least I could easily give you access to it during the sprint review, but I do want to show it. And I think you're seeing the team dashboard, right, Barry?
Yeah, yep, correct. Yeah.
So the team report that you just saw is the thing that the team sees, and that's optimized really for teams to work with. We've also created the team dashboard, and that's expanding and growing still, but we're creating this specifically for organizations where you have many teams that are using the Scrum Team Survey. I'm showing you a demo dashboard now, but we have a lot of customers right now with 20 or 30 teams in there. But the idea basically is that in the team dashboard, you can also see the badges for teams. So in this case, quite a lot of teams with improvements, with streaks that they're achieving, also other improvements. And you can also see how their scores changed between the different snapshots that they took together. I'm not going to demo the whole team dashboard. There is actually a read-only version available that you can look at online as well. I'll share the link at the end with you if you want to take a closer look at this. But just know that the badges also appear in the team dashboard and are a useful way to sort of track patterns across teams in the organization. You can also group teams into value streams or departments or whatever makes sense in your context. And I know that a lot of our customers are already enjoying doing that and getting a lot of benefits from this. But this is definitely
maybe,
something.
Chris, the only thing that you could add, because we're looking at it right now, something new that you also built is participation rate.
Oh yeah, yeah. The participation rate was a feature request that came up last sprint. Can you show how many members in each team roughly participate, which is useful to know, because obviously you would like to have a pretty high participation rate to get a good sense of what's happening. And you can actually also see that you can also see for the teams the improvement actions that they identified. You can actually click straight through it, and also there see patterns across teams. So maybe the same kinds of improvement actions are happening in multiple teams. So these are all things we added, but I think, Barry, we're going to spend the next sprint review to dig a bit deeper into this one.
Yeah,
there's always too much to review, so we're delivering too much maybe, or not doing enough sprint reviews, either way. But that's what I wanted to show. We're going to the roadmap, and I think I can just share that from my screen. Very quickly, the roadmap is available publicly. If you would go to the link below, then you would see the whole thing. But the only thing that's important for now is that we've been working on the Scrum Team Survey for 2 years. We're super happy with it. We're sort of reaching a saturation point where we think the most important features are in there. We're also getting more and more customers, which is awesome. And they're giving us more feedback, but we're noticing that these are smaller improvements that we're making now. The biggest area that we still want to improve is the whole process of subscribing with your organization. And we also want to simplify the process of actually starting to use the Scrum Team Survey, because especially larger customers with 50 or more teams, they often ask us, what practices do you have for using this within your organization? How do you organize this? How do you coordinate this? Do you guys do this? Should we do this? We want to bring more support in that area in particular. We're going to create videos for it, a wiki probably. Barry is also creating some custom workshops for this, but we're still sort of discovering what the need is here. But that will be the focus, I think, for the coming month and maybe the month after that as well, unless other more urgent things pop up. But that's the roadmap that you can also see publicly as well. We always like to end with some metrics because it's important to use those to guide decision making. In general, what we're noticing is that our subscriber churn is for some reason 0%. I don't know why it's that low, and very low, which is cool. Right now, what we're seeing is that almost all customers that sign up, they stick around. They don't cancel their subscription. If they do, it's usually within 1 or 2 months after subscribing. But all the other customers, they're still customers, and some of them have been for more than a year. So that's really cool. Our monthly revenue is low. It's only a bit less than €1,000, which is by far not enough to cover the cost of developing this whole thing. But at least we've got our operational costs covered now, which is great. So hosting, accounting, the small licenses we need to pay, software that we need to use, this is all covered with our revenue right now. So that's great, but we hope it will grow further in the coming months and years. And our subscribers are also increasing, which is great. We've got 42 paying subscribers, and that's nice. More coming up. So we're nothing to worry about, Barry, right now, but who knows, might be different next sprint.
Yeah.
If you like the Scrum Team survey, you can use the free version. I think Peter, you've already used it. Alexander also. Michael, you can use it for free at Deutsche Telekom. You can also get the subscription for €10 per team. There is also a discount the more teams you add. Barry and I are always open to talk with you in more detail about what your need is. Peter, you also mentioned ANWB. If you like, we can always talk a bit more about what you need and how we can help with that. We're developing the product together with our customers. So if new features emerge and there is a use for it, we can implement it. So it's very flexible, very agile, we hope to think. But we like to make a cool product, and we hope it's useful to your teams.
Sorry to interrupt. Michael is in Deutsche Telekom, I see, right? And I am also in Deutsche Telekom.
Oh,
really?
So yeah. So does that mean that Deutsche Telekom has this product? What did you say earlier on? You said that it's free for the.
No, Michael only mentioned that he never used it before, but that you worked for Deutsche Telekom and that you would give it a try maybe with a team, right? That's
okay.
Yeah, but the free version, you can use that for one team. The only thing is you don't have access to the team dashboard, which is designed for multiple teams. But if you want, you can just use the free version of the Scrum Team survey, and it does a lot already.
All right, thanks.
Mm-hmm.
And also the paid version, the subscription model is quite flexible. You can just try it for 1 month.
Yeah.
And then worst case, it costs you $10 or euros. And you can always stop if you don't like it. So there are no hidden conditions that will keep you locked for the rest of your life.
Absolutely not.
Okay.
Cool. That brings us to the end of the sprint review. We're sorry that we messed up with the links. We would have had a couple more people. Then again, we've had more time to just talk one-on-one, which is also very nice. Are there any closing comments or questions that you have for the final minutes?
Is that a question to me, Christian?
No, to everyone. To everyone.
I don't, but maybe the other ones, Alessandro, Peter, Michael.
At this point, first I have to give it a try, and then I can get more experience about that. This was the first time that I minded like a survey like that. No? So I'm very curious about how does it fit to my team, and how do they handle that? Maybe they have some question about what's the name for anonymous things.
Anonymity,
Anonymity. So this can be a problem, maybe, but I don't know how do you handle it in this survey.
That's a really good question. Well, we live in the Netherlands, and in the Netherlands too, like in Germany, privacy regulations are very strict. So you can actually participate in the Scrum Team survey completely anonymously. You don't even have to enter an email address. The only downside of not entering an email address is that we cannot send you the team report also. Then it just shows up in your browser window and you have to bookmark it. But people don't have to enter names or anything that's personally identifiable.
But
is that what you meant, Michael, or do you mean like the visibility in the survey?
Yes, this is what I meant. Yes. One idea: can they choose what a name, not an icon, avatar?
Can they choose?
Because-
No, they cannot. There's nothing. No, they cannot choose an avatar. Why would
No.
you? Why do you want?
Yeah, maybe they want to be anonymous, but they want to. But the only thing that they can say, they can choose a avatar, and at the a report or maybe at the dashboard, they can find themselves by the avatar again. Like you use it on a Scrum board or so, no? Like you don't use or a Kanban board, you don't use names, you use avatars because the stakeholders shouldn't find out who does this story.
I like that idea a lot. Yeah, I have to think about how to add that, because right now we're not showing any individual level results. It's just team level results that we show. But maybe in the future, this could be something to add. I like it a lot. I've never thought of this. This is great.
Yes, so no, it's anonymous, and but on the other side, they can find themselves back.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, that's nice. Thank you so much, Michael. That's a really nice idea. Never thought of this.
Cool.
Great.
And with this feedback, I think it's a good moment to just wrap up this sprint review. And if you are watching this afterwards, then I hope to see you next time in real life during the sprint review itself. So
Absolutely.
enjoy your day, enjoy your weekend, and hopefully see you next time.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Take care. And
Bye-bye.
thanks